Well, I
Oh,
guess
you already recording? Okay,
I did. Yep, I did.
cool.
Yep.
How
I
was
was
your
gonna say,
How was your weekend? How was the White Sox baseball?
dude, they look so fucking bad. Like they're gonna be bad. They look real bad. I think it was like third inning. It was like 6-0 already. Seattle. Um, I don't know, but hopefully there's a fun watch. But yeah, they don't look great, man. Krochik will probably be fine. Kopech, maybe those guys will go at the deadline or whatever. But it's
Yeah,
gonna be a painful one.
you guys traded away all your pitchers, didn't you?
They traded away all the everything except for like, I mean, they still have some bats like Eloy Hernandez, Jimenez rather, Eloy Jimenez, and
Is that the guy
Luis
that
Robert. Still got him.
who was the Cubs guy that was traded to the Sox? He was like a good prospect, like
Eloy
like
Jimenez.
6 years.
Eloy
Who was
Jimenez,
that?
right?
Yeah,
Yep,
that was the
yep.
guy.
So I mean,
So what?
he can't play defense though. He's terrible. So
That's why we traded him to the Sox.
well, he's just gonna DH. So it's like that's the DH, right? So
That's pretty funny. Um,
but it was okay. Pretty, pretty. Like half empty stadium. I mean, it wasn't like overly excited. I'm sure the Cubs probably had more people at their spring
yeah, no
training or
shit.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched any games or anything, but yeah, I bring it up because we left off last week. We discussed a little bit about Shohei Ohtani. So I want to get your opinion on his press conference yesterday, where he didn't answer any questions, and he spoke through a new interpreter, if you can believe that.
Yeah, you know what? That's the first thing that I had to talk about too. And I think he said all the things you have to say, first of all. But the other thing too is like if you go back and read the statement, these are all things that can be demonstratively proven over time. So it's kind of like this is bad. Like if he's lying, because there will be an investigation, they'll figure out the truth, and then he would have came out and had said this, right? And so as I was thinking about it less than an hour ago, I was thinking, I don't know, maybe what he said is true today because I don't think that they let him make a statement like that if there's any doubt to his involvement or whatever.
Yeah, and especially if I mean, you know, when you become like a superstar and all this shit, you don't know who has access to your accounts in some sense. Um, like he probably has a business manager that has access. Maybe his wife has access. Does the interpreter, did he actually have access to the account? Yeah, very possible. It's like giving your kid, a credit card to someone or something like that. Now, obviously, there's a lot more at stake here because whatever his bank account is, obviously has millions of dollars in it,
Right.
just like me. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like I believed him. I was talking to my buddy Dai from Japan. I don't know if you ever met him. He did a road trip. He's from Tokyo,
Okay.
and him and a couple of his friends did a road trip from LA to New York. And I was living with Tim. So I don't know, 2007. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess you probably didn't. Anyways, I was talking to him because obviously this is big news in Japan. And yeah, I mean, he tends to, the Japanese are kind of just more kind of trustworthy and honest usually. They're not like dealing with as much bullshit. So,
Well, I mean, not the
um,
stereotype, but yeah, there's a whole dishonor of the culture thing or whatever. I just it would be bad for baseball. They're pretty mum on it right now. They didn't have a lot to say, and I think that's maybe not like unbelievable for me. But I know one thing: if they don't like do an investigation, get like real answers and stuff like that, the government will, like the Senate will. Like I know there's a lot of other stuff they should be voting on, but every time they like think there's problems with sports, it's like brought up to committee like the next week. So I mean, this ain't gonna be different. Like baseball better figure it out, or else we're gonna see some Senate committee hearings very soon.
One of my favorite things was so when like McGuire and Sosa and all them were brought in front of the Senate or House, I forget, whatever congressional hearing. That was like when I first started watching congressional hearings. I actually have a podcast on that, but I still remember this because essentially I forget who it was. I think a couple of them pled the fifth, right? And then you had the Congress people being like, you can't do, like, imagine if all these other people came in here and just pled the fifth, we wouldn't get any answers. Meanwhile, literally the week before, they did have a congressional hearing with all the oil CEOs, and they all pled the fifth the week prior. And that one's more important than did fucking Romero use fucking steroids.
Yeah. But they also, I mean, those Senate hearings are like painful sometimes because it's like, okay, for example, I'm sure you saw the ones on.
It's all theater. It's just theater, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm sure you saw the ones with like the social media companies, right? Like, so Facebook and X and all that stuff. So it's just like hearing some of these old dinosaurs try to even ask questions to these people. It's just like, just downright comical to hear them even try to form an actual question. And a lot of times the CEOs are just like, what do you mean? Like, how do you mean? Like, I don't understand the question, because they don't even know enough to ask like an informed like question, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of those. I didn't see the last one. I kind of stopped watching those because they're too annoying. But the clips,
there's nothing going on. There's a whole lot of nothing.
Okay. But the clips of the one I saw of the last one, they're getting better aids to ask better questions. The questions are a lot better now than they were 5 years ago. Like, way better. So
I have to take your word for that because I haven't been watching that much.
Yeah, I watch a lot of good. I mean, I watch a lot of that shit, and I didn't watch the whole hearing, but I watched plenty of clips, and the questions were better, and from people that obviously the senator didn't write the question, you know, but they actually have good aides.
As long as they know, as long as they sound like they know what they're talking about, which like wasn't even what we were getting before.
Well, they just have to ask good questions. I mean, they barely have to even follow up on anything. They just have to get these people on record saying something.
Yeah,
and then you can go from there later. But yeah, no, I think the questions are better now than they were just really even a couple of years ago. And I think it's just the aides are just more prepared because. I mean, for the last like 7, I mean, how long have they been being made fun of for being fucking idiots? You know, so at a certain point, be like, well, let me hire someone that actually knows how to like have a question.
Well, they just sound the same as like these same hearings from like the 50s. It was like, how are you saying this? Like, you sound exactly the same as like when they, you know, calling guys before Rico, like the mafia and stuff. Like, they just sound also uninformed and just like figuring shit out for the first time. Only it was like, you know, the 70s and 80s and 90s and early 2000s.
They're in Congress. You don't have to be informed to be in Congress. That's not the.
I just said sound informed. I know you don't have to be informed to be in Congress, John. I know that.
Okay. And then I wanted to talk about. It kind of broke last week. Yeah, this JD Martinez contract with the Mets. So it's a 1-year deal for $12 million. And didn't he hit like 35 home runs last year?
I can't recall at the top of my head what he did, but isn't there something with the deal where it's like, again, it's this deferred money concept? Like, he gets so much of it.
Oh yeah, It's only so it's 4.5 million for the season, and then it's deferred, and then he gets like 1.5 million per year from 2034, so 10 years from now, to 2038. 1.5 million each of those.
Well,
years.
yeah, I mean, like that. This is how teams are figuring out how to add more firepower, even if you don't have the money to do it. Like you just,
I think the Mets have
this is
extra
the
heat.
equivalent to like in the NFL to them like getting guys to restructure the deal, which they just do later. Baseball, you would never do that. It's just a guaranteed deal,
Yeah, they're all guaranteed. Yeah, the union
Yeah,
is much stronger
exactly.
in baseball, but
Yeah,
well,
but yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I get it. It's like they want to compete. You got to figure out some place to put the money. It just to me seems like more of like accounting stuff than anything else. I don't really have like a baseball opinion about when they do that. It just feels like, we get if we get some guy to agree to do this, then great. We get to add more people now with the money we would have had to pay him. Is what it seems like.
yeah, and it's also good for the team because even it's even the same with Shohei, since all most of his money is deferred.
That's a
Um,
huge thing though. All these little amounts are like okay, they help here and there, but his thing, I mean, they can't go get like Yamamoto and they added like Snell too, right? Like they can't go add all these people if they don't have that deferred and they have to pay him. So
yeah, so I think the deal is because Shohei Ohtani one's obviously good. It's a lot of money.
mhm.
That one's interesting too because so you have on one hand, um, $40 million in whatever 15 years is only going to be, it's not, it's like equivalent to like $33 million today,
But
right?
I'm just wondering too, like, is he going to get interest on that? That would be interesting.
No,
You know what I
it's
mean?
not.
Like, if he could have. Oh, okay.
But what he can also do though, and we'll see if California changes this, is if he moves to like so when his career's done, he could just move to like Texas or Florida where there's no state income tax.
Hmm.
So I mean that's kind of a lot of money on $700 million. How many? I mean,
Yeah,
what,
sure. You're right. Yeah, that is kind of helping him quite a
so
bit if he does
so
that. That's
yeah.
interesting.
So even if the money is still a shit ton of money, so even if it's less, he won't have to. If he moves out of California, he won't have to pay income tax on it.
I mean, I think over time the
State
deal
income
looks
tax,
fine because I mean, if you look at the Bryce Harper money now, it looks fine. So I think over time it'll be okay.
unless they find out he was betting on baseball and he's banned for life.
Yeah, yeah. Unless that.
All right, what do you? You're next.
Well, I guess the second thing I have would just be like a quick follow up to the NASCAR thing. I did look and I did find an article. Um, there was somebody who wrote an article in
On
2018.
the net worth of NASCAR in general.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. So there was an article in 2018. The sport wasn't doing well, and so this person had presupposed that a sale could possibly be done, and right now is the time. Now, obviously, it didn't happen, but in the course of reading that article, I found out. Well, number one, I should have known this already, but it's privately owned. It's owned by the France family. Bill France started NASCAR, so his kids they own it. His brother, they don't like to be to have their shit out there, right? So there's no real like we don't know the true hierarchy, but it's like it's theirs and their family. Okay. The evaluation given in the article was based on F1 being sold as an entire entity for close to $8 billion 2 years before that, 2016, and evaluations based on some other metrics in the article. So the range that I'm going to give you is between $8 and $25 billion is what they were saying. NASCAR could be sold for turnkey because you got to consider all the tracks if you get those tracks too, like we said.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
25 billion bucks. Ooh. So first of all, Rock can't buy that.
Well, he could come up. The Rock. Yeah, no. Well, he could. He wouldn't be sole owner, but he could. He
Like the
could.
Saudis could buy it.
No, well, he'd go to the Saudis and be like, "Hey, let's buy
Yeah,
this," and
yeah.
the Rock fucking would that sellout.
Could anybody besides the Saudis pull that off?
Yeah, I mean, the Rock and Chase Bank. I mean, like it's you know, you can get a group of investors. 25 billion is really not that much money now. You
I
know, like
mean, I don't know. That's still a big chunk for race cars.
it's yeah. Well, I wouldn't do it, but what's funny? But what's funny about that is I was thinking about the other day because obviously the FTC is suing Apple for monopoly practices, which is about goddamn time. And so when they announced it, Apple lost like $125 billion in market cap.
Just like nothing for them.
When we were in high school 20 years ago, or at least prior, like right around, yeah, a little bit over 20 years ago,
Mhm.
uh, the highest market cap company in the world was ExxonMobil, and it was worth about $100 billion. So 20 years later, Apple was able to lose $125 billion in market cap, and like no, you don't even really think anything of it because it's worth $3 trillion. So it just shows you how much
Because they have
money
like
is.
iPhone 15 and it's the same shit every time. Like it's not surprising when you. I mean, it is surprising, but when you think about it, it's like, yeah, man. Like people are bought. You know.
Well, it's not bad. It's just, I mean, well, that's the it's just amazing how much more valuable everything is in the last 20 years. 20 years is kind of a long time. So I mean, if you quit that to like 1980,
Yeah.
before we were born until we were in high school, you could look. I mean, but it's just like there's like a couple. I think Microsoft
Yeah,
right
but the
now.
rate of technology is accelerating too. I think you know what I mean. So then I guess the rate of like return should also maybe accelerate. Plus, the
Well, I don't
economy
know.
never slows down either.
Yeah, it's just so much. Yeah, but it's like where all this money. I mean, it's just there's been a lot of growth over the last 20 years. It's
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
well, it sounds like you're going to say, "Where's all this money coming from?" That was the whole point of getting off the gold standard all those years ago. You know what I mean? Like because we couldn't, manufacture amounts of that like this. Then, if you had to have so much reserve, so I think where's it come from? Shit, I don't know. But that was the whole point of this, right? Like that they were like we can like the economy can just keep going and going and going if we take these ceilings off of it, which is true. I mean, I was a little worried that it was going to break and run off the rails. I don't feel that way anymore, but I do feel like there needs to be like some more like guidelines and shit, maybe some help as we talked about to make the American person more valuable in the system because that'll make the system stronger.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to do that, but yeah, I agree with
No,
you.
we're definitely not. We're definitely not going to do that.
I
We're
agree with
getting.
this. I agree
We're
with the
definitely not going to
sentiment.
do that. We're getting the same zombies for president, dude. Or you could vote RFK if you got something really wrong with you.
Yeah, RFK's funny. I think I don't even know how many ballot. I think he's only on the ballot in like 2 states so far. I'm not even quite
He
sure.
scares a lot of people, though. I know that much with his views and the anti-vax stuff. Like not even just like COVID stuff, like the all vaccines. Period. Like anti-vax stuff for like children. Like that's like touchy stuff, man. Like I saw he named the VP today. That was actually one of the things I put on my thing. I was just gonna ask you, like, do you care? Who cares? Do you think anybody cares? And as a reflection of that, is there a point in place or a person in time that could change your perception about third party politics?
Oh yeah, no, I'm all for third party politics. It's just not going to be any of these people. Yeah, I know. He picked. I forget her name, Shanahan or something. Yeah,
Something,
she's funny
yeah,
because I knew of her because she was in the news whenever that was because she used to be married to Sergey Brin, one of the
got it.
Google founders, and then the rumor was that she had an affair with Elon Musk.
Interesting, got it. Okay,
So that was just like maybe 2 years ago. I think it was during COVID, and then yeah, she's just like a financier. I think she's like a patent lawyer, and then she paid. I know she paid for that the RFK ad during the Super Bowl.
oh, I got you.
She
Okay,
paid for that, so I mean, she just has. I mean, she's got to be rich as fuck, probably.
well, yeah, if
Uh,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Patent lawyer, and was also married to a Google co-founder. So
Right, right,
um,
right.
she's richer than she's gonna. She might buy fucking NASCAR if they lose.
Nice contingency plan. Okay, well, what about Diddy?
Yeah, I got that written down too. I'm glad I brought that up last time. Well, it's funny because there's a lot
Dude,
of
I saw a
rumors.
meme on Instagram that said him and his kids are hold up flushing dildos like packs of cocaine.
Uh,
Hilarious.
so it's funny because I saw a clip. So now there's like rumors being like, well, was he also a federal asset where he'd get celebrities in bad spots to record him doing stuff for blackmail? So like a Jeffrey Epstein, and it's kind of interesting. Um, and then you go back like not that many years, or no, quite a few years. Uh, I mean, literally, Cat Williams just brought this up on the Joe Rogan podcast like a month ago. Kanye brought this up. I saw a clip like the other day. It was Kanye essentially talking about it, and that was like 5 years ago. So it's like kind of interesting. Um, and then obviously there's all the stuff with Usher and like whatever. And then obviously, in the hip hop community, it's not good to be gay. So is he just using stuff for blackmail? Because I didn't realize he was worth like $900 million.
Oh yeah.
I
I
mean,
see also he sold Revolt recently. The black TV station that he had. They didn't say to who. It's still black owned, but they didn't say to who.
one of his gay lovers, Tyler Perry. I don't know.
Yeah, he supposedly I don't think they said where he was. I think I saw, supposed photos of him at Miami International today. But there's also stories of his plane in some place in the Caribbean or whatever. But moral of the story is we all know what it looks like when the powers that be decide that it's okay for you to go down and everybody's cool with it. You know what I mean? And this just is what this looks like, Whereas I understand we live in the country where if people don't want nobody to find out about stuff, it will never get found out about it. Like to me, it's not coincidence that all this stuff is coming out now. Whatever he was doing, he's not valuable anymore, or some circumstances change or something, because it just seems like he is a fair target for the mainstream whoever to bring down. And that's like, you did something big dog. Like you did some Epstein type stuff. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know.
Yeah, what's funny too is when I was in LA still, I remember telling Ricky this story because I was in, I guess it was a shooting. I was peeing on an infomercial in the hills, and so I turn around and I just happened to like notice it wasn't Puff Daddy's house, but he was like literally two houses. It's on the hill, so he was like two streets up or whatever. It was him and like fucking 12 topless women, like just on the balcony. Anyway, so I told Ricky this story. I mean, that must have been 7 years ago. But I mean, you kind of saw. I mean, you see that stuff in LA a little bit. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, do I believe that he's a creep? Yeah, I do. Do what would be his motivation? Like, it's one of those things that's always weird with celebrities because like you can just kind of get laid whenever you want. So like, it just must be a power thing. Like, you want to have control over all these people. I'm sure he's a fucking douchebag in real life. Oh, that's the other thing with Chappelle. I mean, Chappelle kind of essentially alluded to this 20 years ago on the Chappelle show.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You
just
know?
feel like, the more power you have, the more influence you have, the more you're able to gratify your desires, and those desires change. It's like what we was talking about with Vince McMahon. It's like you have that much power, that much money, you know, that many sexual encounters and stuff. Like I'm sure your king started to change and get more hardcore or whatever it is. Like I'm just sure he's into some crazy shit, Just I mean, just I and again, this is not like stuff we haven't heard before. Like anybody who has YouTube has seen a video about, the suspicions of the music industry and how cultish and satanic and all that stuff is,
Well,
you
it's
know,
music
kept
industry.
kept
They're
around.
all a lot of it. Well, they're all gay, right? It's a fucking music industry. They're all gay,
I
and
mean, apparently, it's what we're finding out. Apparently,
yeah, there's lots of stories of that because it's just a weird thing to be in, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it just ends up being that way. I mean,
did you
show
see the
business.
Nickelodeon thing on
Yeah.
Max?
Well, he's just a creepy Jew. No, I haven't seen the documentary though.
Well, there's like three guys. Nickelodeon is disgusting. They just ruin your childhood. Anybody who ever saw any of that
Oh,
stuff.
they're all okay. Well, also the guy that did Ren and Stimpy, he was a creep. Some of my favorite anime writers were creeps. The guy that did Berserk, a lot of that had to do with like underage girls.
Before you just watch it first, because there's some pretty nasty stuff in there. Just watch it first.
Watch what first? I'm talking about anime right now. So the
Well,
guy
I
that
know,
did
but I was
Berserk,
gonna say like it sounds like you're comparing like the the Nickelodeon stuff to like just these odd individuals in the industry. But it is like no, these are different crimes. Like just watch it and see that part for yourself though. But
I'm
as
not
you were
watching.
saying about the rest of these people, whatever.
I'm not watching that shit at all. I don't like that stuff. No, but everybody already knew this. Like everybody knew. Like like all those people that came out of the Disney World. It's all the same. It's all the same shit because it's the same thing. Like there's only a couple spots. That's why it's better now. There's not so many gatekeepers.
Well,
You know what I
first
mean?
of all,
So
when you say everybody knew this, that's what all these shows are about. Everybody did not know it that's not in the industry. And those people that did know it, a lot of this is about who actually, like, parts of this thing is like who defended this creep in letters and stuff like that. But then also the justification behind some of that stuff. Who knew what, when they were told what they actually knew, why they did that. Because there's some backlash with a lot of stars. Like, you wrote a letter for this fool. So that part is interesting too, but I get it. It's one of those things where it's like, it's such a sub entertainment part of culture, and it's almost a little too much for me. Like I don't want to hear about kids getting hurt like that. Like
I know me neither.
but I do like true crime. Like I like true crime. Like I'll fall asleep to it's like forensic files. Like I'll listen to people get murdered, but I don't want to. I don't like this stuff about like kids getting mistreated like that. Like that to me, that's not entertaining. I know it's happens, and I just want all these people caught. Like all the
I
fucking
mean,
time, catch them and punish them.
I mean, literally, Shirley Temple. When was Shirley Temple in the fucking 40s? She wrote about it in her memoir when she was
Yeah,
a kid. I mean,
yeah,
holy shit. Yeah, Hollywood is very creepy.
yeah,
Mostly,
yeah. And I believe it's way more creepier than most of us know or care to admit or even want to know. Like I don't want to know. I think there's horrible people that do horrible things. I know it.
yeah, and it's just like a weird because show business is different than a lot of other businesses because a lot of it's just like your currency is also just your relationships. It's like politics,
Yeah.
and there are a bunch of creeps in DC too. That's for fucking sure.
Oh, for sure,
But
for sure, for sure.
I mean, there's creeps in everything, but when your currency is this like social thing, and you want to be in the industry, you have to put up with like just terrible shit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's awful. Okay, let's move on to something less depressing. Uh, and by less depressing, I mean kind of more depressing and more frightening. So today, Julian Assange had a hearing in London, and on whether or not he was going to be extradited to the United States. Hopefully, this thing's going to wrap up soon. This has been going on for like 5 years now. But essentially, the UK court said we're going to need more assurance that Assange wouldn't be facing the death penalty because in England
And
you
that he will
can't,
be treated like an American during the process, is what they said.
even though he's Australian, and it'll be a military court, so it's all it's not. He will not have a real trial in the United States. It will not because you can't defend yourself in this type of like you can't actually defend yourself in an espionage case, right? So if you're going to argue, well, it's the good for the people, which you can do in a regular court, he won't be able to make that defense in America. But it looks like the British. The next thing will be in 3 weeks. I think he's going to get extradited unless Biden. There's going to have to be enough pressure on Biden because he has so many fucking problems right now. And as if I need another reason not to vote for this fucking asshole, he better just drop the case against Assange. But they're just not.
Why is this a big deal, one way or the other?
For Assange? Well, essentially,
No, for it. No, not for Assange. For like me, you know what I mean? Like I saw that story too, but it's like I don't.
Well, he exposed U.S. war crimes.
Yeah,
Maybe
but that's
he'll
like
do this for a deal.
like espionage shit is like, you know, like I'm sure all that's like tied up in the game, you know, like win some, lose some, like whatever happens, that's like a part of whatever that shit is, you know. Like I don't.
Free Assange. No, this case could have major ramifications. There's a reason why Obama didn't charge him because it was called the New York Times problem, right? So if you went after Assange, the New York Times did the same thing. So what are you going to do? Indict the New York Times for publishing classified documents? That's what they're trying to make illegal. The U.S. government doesn't want classified information being published. So that's terrifying.
But what you said though is true though. Like none of this is like there's not going to be a real trial. If he came and did a trial, no, I don't think in my mind I'm not expecting that he'd be able to defend himself properly. Like it all seems very
legally he can't. So you can't actually really mount a defense. It's rigged. It's not a good system that we have for this.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I was asking the question of like, how is this important to me? Because we already know what's going to happen, what they want to happen. Like, there's not going to be like the government doesn't take L's. Is my point. Like, there's all these like issues where it's like, you know, will they? Won't they? Of course they fucking will. They're going to do everything they want to every time.
Right. But it's also yeah. But now other countries are going to be able to do this. I mean, he's not even an American citizen.
Oh, I agree with you, and I think that's why it's all out in the public like this. Like we're being put on notice, dude. Like we're being put off. You see what I mean from that perspective? Like this isn't like overblown. Like you know, like nah, they want us all to know.
Yeah, but the media doesn't even cover this. I mean, they don't even cover this.
They try not to. You're right. It's not getting covered that much, right? And when they do cover it, it's very like in a certain light, you know.
It's only independent media that's covering it.
No, I saw it on CNN today. I saw it on CNN today, so I know there's at least covering it a little bit. It was like prime time CNN when I saw it. So
oh, you're the guy watching CNN.
What's that?
You're the guy watching CNN.
yeah. I'm keeping the lights on. No, I would pass by it, like, you know, prime time. Like, just like, I don't want to watch commercials. So if I'm watching news and all the stations are close to each other, it's like one goes to commercial, or just go down to the next one. Like, just now you say it. I don't want to watch commercials for fucking news. I can't do that.
Oh, I haven't watched cable news in years because it's fucking awful.
No, I have like Pluto TV. Dude, I actually like it. Free. I watch that more than I watch the apps that I pay for. And they have everything grouped perfectly. Like you can go to the game show section and 24 hours, every one of these game shows has their own channel. So there's a Jeopardy channel that plays 24 hours, all the Alex Trebek episodes. But I just went to the news section and then you just look and it's like 10 selections, CNN, Fox, whatever you want. Obviously bullshit. But dude, I got to say for a free app, like no log. When I say free, I mean like no login. Like sometimes I go to it, they're like, "Hey, do you want to make a login? It'll help make your profile cool." And it's like, no, I don't want you.
What app did you say?
Pluto TV.
Oh, okay.
Dude, it's like good, man. There's a history section, so there's always stuff on like World War II, Panzer tanks and shit. I'm actually real impressed by that app. Now that I mentioned it,
I signed up recently. Yeah, I guess maybe I don't know. My mom sent me a thing. After they're here is like a history of like it was like the history of something in like near me. So we're talking about something like it was essentially like it was some famous restaurant on Rush Street in like the 80s.
Okay.
And so I had to sign up for the only way I could watch it was on Tubi.
Oh, sure.
And I thought Tubi was good.
Yeah, Tubi's fine. I think Pluto TV is a little better than Tubi, but Tubi's fine. There was something I liked that was coming on Tubi, so I used to watch it. Oh, I just had a friend here, like a producer friend, like a lot of those like black, like newer stories. That shit's on Tubi, man. So Tubi is really good for that. Like a big thing with Hollywood is they don't want to invest. My opinion, not my opinion. They don't want to invest in new stories. They don't want to take the chance. The
Yeah.
networks, or not the networks, the studios don't want to spend blockbuster money unless it's been a fucking blockbuster before, even if it flops. They're just afraid to do it. And so, like, they're not spending $200 million on your thing that they just never heard of. It's got to be part 6 or part 7 of some franchise. They'd much rather do that. And so, what we see is this stifling of news stories, specifically minority news stories. And so, only a few places to get those, but to your point, Tubi is a very good place to always find the fresh and the newest. And I've got like 3 friends that personally have had projects on there recently.
I'll be sure to delete the app when we get off this podcast. And then another thing too,
Always Pluto.
And then I just use it. I don't watch that stuff, but
it's free. It's good quality stuff.
I know
if you don't have cable, or you in a like shitty area, like your circumstances ain't that good, you can watch free this shit on your TV. Well, yeah, I know, but like I'm thinking of I'm just thinking of like my old man. Like I don't think he has cable TV. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he doesn't have cable TV, but it's like you can go watch the old Western section on Pluto, so you can see Gunsmoke and Have Gun Will Travel, Maverick, all that bullshit. You know what I mean? Like it's all there grouped. I just like the way they have it grouped and categorized, and the selection is good too.
The other channel I thought was pretty good too is I guess I was kind of shortly after I moved back to Chicago. I had COVID, and I watched a bunch of like Columbo episodes on Roku TV.
Dude, I watched some Heat of the Night on Roku TV.
Roku was good too because
Columbo, that's sick, bro.
I think I initially signed up for it because that's where they were streaming the Weird Al movie.
They have Renegade. I watched the Lorenzo Lamas series Renegade from the 90s on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I like Roku because they have good free TV too, specifically like the true crime shit. That's what I watch on there. And they have a 24-hour Forensic Files station or whatever. So like I will probably watch like 20 to 30 minutes of Roku just for that every day. And then also, I think I told you I still watch like Chicago news and stuff. Roku, they have all the like Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 2, and Fox. They have all those for many local stations. So I could look at that for Philly, Boston, New York, or Chicago every day for free. So I just go there for the Chicago.
Dude, I'm subscribed to those too, but on YouTube. I just watch the clips on YouTube,
I'm not watching that on YouTube. There's too many. I don't want to pay for YouTube. There's too many like commercials. Well, actually, this is about the same. I guess you're right. Never mind. It's about the same. Doesn't matter.
Well, no. So I guess I didn't realize. I just started getting YouTube Premium like maybe 5 months ago. I don't know why I didn't do that during COVID. It's like $10 a month or something. Considering how much I watch.
For you, it makes sense as much as you watch YouTube. I mean, for me, it's like I'm not.
That's all I watch pretty much is YouTube.
Whereas I like watching all this other stuff because we didn't watch TV in high school. You know that. Like, there's a lot that I could catch up on that I never saw before, in addition to the stuff now. So sometimes I feel like over inundated with this.
That's true. In high school, I didn't watch Seinfeld. I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z. I didn't
watch any of that. Oh, actually, funny. But that was it though. Like we didn't watch like a whole bunch of stuff, man. Like in a lot of stuff I didn't see till like later. I watched
like 8 episodes of Seinfeld like every day for like 4 years.
Yeah, but that's like one show we're talking about. But I agree with you. Of that and Dragon Ball, yes, I agree with you.
I know we didn't really watch that much TV because obviously we're in the dorm.
I did watch Seinfeld again recently though. I'm thinking of doing it again, dude. It's good, man. You can just watch. I could watch 20 minutes of that every day.
I think I'm going to rewatch Married with Children.
I just started that a little while ago. It's going slow because I like to watch a lot of other stuff, but I'm on like season 1, episode like 10 or some shit like that.
Yeah, I'll probably skip the first season. I must.
Yeah, it's real slow. You want to get to those super crude jokes.
Yeah, and it's like old school TV where like it used to be like a lot of these shows didn't get good until like the best seasons were always like season 3 to season 5. But
Right.
now they're not going to make like any new show now. I guarantee you it doesn't go 5 seasons. They're
Dude,
not
you
going to
know
make
you
one
should be
show
able to
now.
find what you can't. Like somebody put In Living Color out there for me, please.
It must be on something.
I don't know if it is. I haven't seen it. Also, did you see Mike Epps has the new special on Netflix?
Yeah, you told me I have not seen it, but I
Yeah,
think
gotta
probably.
check it out. Gotta check it out.
Yeah, I like Mike. Yeah, and I know you texted me with. I knew the David Tell special was coming out.
Yeah, I like David Tell. I mean, I want to see how he physically he looks too. You know, that's what
He
I'm
looks
real interested in.
he looks terrible. He looks the same. He looks terrible.
Yeah, I hope he's not like dying. You know, that generation they've had some rough years the past couple of ones. Him, he
Oh
got
my
real
god.
sick. Saget passed away recently.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, he still smokes and stuff. I think he's 59. I was watching.
Wow, he looks
Saw a
rough.
clip on. Yeah, well, he's been smoking, but he quit drinking. Like after then, I mean, he quit drinking like 20 years ago. So he kind of quit drinking
Insomniacs was iconic.
my age, which I should be doing the same thing. Oh, so guess where you can watch In Living Color?
Where
YouTube.
YouTube? I'm not
Oh,
paying
wait a
them
minute. Oh, YouTube
$4.99
TV.
an episode.
Here, hold on. Yeah, no, this is YouTube TV. Yeah, YouTube TV, which is like $60 a month. Fuck that. I have YouTube Premium, which is whatever, $10, or maybe it's 15. I don't know. So you know what happened on Friday morning. Yeah, I get like a Chase fraud alert, so I like cancel my fucking card. So it has all this stuff. So, but it would have been in the payment. So then I get an email like I guess on Sunday, being like, "Oh, the process didn't go through for YouTube Premium." I was like, "You better motherfuckers better let this run out. Like I'm gonna update it. My card didn't show up. I thought it was gonna show up today. It didn't. So hopefully it's tomorrow.
They
I'll
usually give
update
you a couple
tomorrow
of
to fix
times.
it."
They usually like give you a few times. They'll try to hit it before it, you know, like deactivates or whatever. Hey, I saw that on Disney they did finally release X-Men '97, which I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for that, dude. And I watched the first episode. Nostalgia out the ass, dude. And they nailed it just with like first of all, I don't think kids today gonna like it because the artwork is like the same as that show when we were kids. It looks great, but I can tell they're going to be annoyed by it, today's kids. But it seemed pretty cool, man. I'm into it. I like that. I wish there was more episodes of it. Like, don't give me 10 and expect that. Like, I could watch 10 of those in one day. So that's like nothing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I never really watched X Men because I thought all that stuff was gay even back then. But do you know what I
Everything is
watched?
gay.
Do you know I was watching Saturday night, and I had been waiting for this one because I had it. It was on called Vineland Saga. It's an anime, but I've been waiting. It's always like it was on Funimation, but it was only in Japanese. So they finally had like American voices or English voiceovers and stuff. The show's great, great anime. So I
You
recommend
just
Vineland
described all
Saga.
that and said X-Men was gay. Okay.
Yeah, that's way better. Yeah, X
Okay.
Men. I don't like any of that superhero stuff. I always thought it was stupid. Anime was way better.
I
I think
loved
like
X-Men. I loved
like
it. The cartoon was way too complicated for kids. It
like
was
all
like
that
they
shit
talking
was
about racism and shit. Assassinations. It's crazy.
yeah,
Professor X died in the end.
all those superhero things. That was like my dad's generation. I liked like Dragon Ball Z. Like, would you want to watch Superman or Dragon Ball Z? I'm like, well,
I
Dragon
liked
Ball Z.
like Transformers and He-Man, the stuff from our generation. Like I remember that stuff growing up. I like that stuff a lot
See,
growing up.
I never. Like my brother and I just never got into that stuff because we were just like watching. Like we rather watch like the other cartoons. You know, like Ducktales,
Oh yeah, for sure. I watched
Dark,
DuckTales.
Darkwing Duck,
Darkwing Duck.
Rescue Rangers,
You
and then
just so those are
but
all
then
like stuff that you could find on Disney now. But yeah, those man. What about like I used to watch Tailspin. That was about the
yeah,
bear that flew
yeah,
the
yeah.
plane. Yeah.
Yeah, Tailspin. But then also too, my mom was cool, so we like went like because my mom liked Ren and Stimpy.
Nice.
It's also one of those things to think about too. Like, so it would have been like I don't know, 1992 or something. It would have been
Hmm.
like that short period of time that we had cable. But like when I think about it now, like my mom was probably only like 29 or 27 or something. when I
Hmm.
was when we were watching, my brother and I would watch Ren and Stimpy with my mom. She would have been like not even 30 yet. Isn't that
Yeah.
fucking crazy? They're right around 30.
Well, that's how time works. Plus, being 30 then for them, it's like being 60 for us.
I don't know what I am.
Like they're all like out of the house and shit, like mortgages and families and stuff. Like when they're so like, our generation has obviously been a little slow
My
out the
dad was
gate.
still
Not our
in
fault though. Not our fault though.
my dad was still in school.
I think Greg like left home. He's like 15 years old or some shit. Like,
Well, we kind of did, but not in that sense.
yeah, kind of. Definitely not in that sense.
Yeah, we weren't like on our own. We
No,
were at a very prestigious
no,
boarding
not at
school.
all. Not at all. We're very much not on our own. uh,
Did you want to go over some China stuff? How does Trump say it? China.
China.
So I
What do
looked
you
at.
got?
So the first one, just we'll see if we get to. We can get into ghost cities later, but I had this written down from for last week. We didn't get to it. So during the Super Bowl, I was over at Tim's, and that site like Temu, it's like a Chinese e-commerce site,
I know what Timu is.
and I know I'm explaining to the fucking audience. That's not what
Everybody
this is.
knows what Timu is.
Okay, well, thank you. Um, I don't watch TV, so I don't get ads. Um, so I looked it up later because remember, like Rakuten always tries to break in. Rakuten tries to break into the American market every couple of years. It's like a Japanese kind of e-commerce site. I guess it's not really. It's more like you get like points if you buy through there. It's like a loyalty card, but they're still running through like Target or whatever the other system is. But anyway, so Timu, and then a couple days later, I saw something from like Wall Street Journal had like a 10-minute video on YouTube talking about it. I didn't realize it was actually doing very well. It has like 75, or I think Google, or no, sorry, I think Amazon has like 85 million shoppers, and Timu had like 65 million. So it's actually doing
Because
very
it's not
well.
quality shit. It's just like it's like affordable little bullshit that will come to you quickly too. Like, and they
Okay,
always
yeah,
flash some deals and shit. Yeah, it's
okay,
like
fine,
bootleg
but
Amazon. Yeah.
okay, fine, but the other Chinese e-commerce sites don't do nearly that well. So it's kind of interesting to see that it actually is doing well.
I
I'll
think
wait.
also like
And
you
there'll
know
be a
like
congressional hearing about this site at some point. That's for sure.
I think also though like some of those off sites though do very well in the lesser communities though. Like I know about some of these other sites that I've been told about or directed to. Like I think Got It is another one, another app where it's the same premise. These are not like the whole premise is like we just keep bringing you new shit, but it's not like great quality stuff. You're also not paying for it very much, and it comes to you quickly, and it does look good. But that's what it is. It's just like really low quality shit. A lot of knockoff type shit, like a lot of similar patterns and styles to like bigger name brands, but that is so prevalent in some of the inner cities. I know it because even like having some of those apps, bought shirts off there myself, looked at some of the clothes, passed on it, but looked and saw it there. Now I can go out and recognize. I'm like, oh, that dude's wearing something from Temu. That dude's wearing a shirt from Temu. All these guys have this same jacket from Got It. Like this one bomber jacket that I got too. It was a nice bomber jacket, but I happen to know It's not overly expensive. It's like less than $70. I've seen comedians on Netflix wearing that. Like, so I know this is like, infiltrating us a little. It's like people don't want to talk about it because you like being complimented on nice stuff, but they don't want to admit that it was very, very affordable and not great quality. But it's true though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like for me, like I also just don't buy stuff. Like I don't know if you know this, Ralph, about me, but I'm not really a clothes guy.
Oh, the guy that taped together his fucking shoes and
It wasn't tape; it was glue. It was
yeah,
glue,
yeah, glued it together.
shoe glue. That's just literally called shoe glue. Yeah, then my mom threw it out. Threw them out.
She was right to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I fucking hate buying. I just don't. I don't shop. I'm not like a shopper. I mean, you've always dressed very well and all that stuff, but like, fucking, dude, I've been putting off. I literally bought like cheap T-shirts the other day just so I didn't have to do laundry. I got, and boxers.
No, I do not know about buying T-shirts, so I don't have to do laundry. Just go do the laundry.
I even have the quarters too.
Oh my god, our laundry machines have like the app now, which is nice. I don't ever have to deal with quarters anymore. That's great.
Yeah, my building. I have an old building, so I'm sure my building's the only building on the street that still has that needs quarters. Yeah, no, because it was kind of shortly after I moved here. Yeah, I went to the fucking Chase just to get like a roll of quarters, and they didn't have any quarters. I was like, "What?"
That happened over here with me during like quarantine.
There was the coin shortage during COVID
Yeah,
and stuff. But,
yeah,
I mean, this
yeah.
was just a year ago. So. And it's a Chase Bank over here, like in a nice, the Chase Bank near me. I'm pretty sure has some pretty, yeah. Oh, I was going to ask you too. So, what are the other podcasts that you listen to?
I don't I don't listen to a bunch of podcasts, brother. I'm working all day long. I'm not like actively like if it's not baseball or football, like I'm not like if I catch podcasts, it's on Sirius XM radio, first of all. It's a great podcast platform. But it would mostly be like XRX radio because those are like between 5 and 10 minute stories. So I like those because it's just like I can walk around the block, take a break from work. But I mean, like, no, dude, I listen to devotional shit in the morning. Like I listen to devotional podcasts, and then in the afternoon,
What does that
uh,
mean?
sports, huh?
Is that religious stuff? What's devotional?
Like all out of like Apple Podcasts probably. Like, and I just found random stuff there. I also have followed like Cole Cabana and Jericho and stuff, but I don't like listen to that stuff regularly. It's just there if I happen to want to listen to it. The the serial podcast. I mean, I follow it, but I haven't been like religiously listening to that. I haven't listened to it religiously since the Adnan Syed case. But true crime a little bit. I'm not like I don't have a lot of time for it outside of sports. I don't think.
Yeah, well, just say I listen to sports podcasts. But
Yeah, but I'm also really not like is like I like talking baseball. Like that's really the only like I like the mix that they have. I like that they have different um ways that they think about the game. I like Trevor Plouffe. I like his perceptions of the game and I trust their information. So I will mostly listen to them. And if I turn on Sirius XM fantasy sports radio station, 9 times out of 10, I'll have to turn it off because the person sounds annoying or wrong or just giving chalk. But like Jeff Mann's on there, I think he's good.
we got to work on this. I don't know why we got to work on this internet. I don't know why.
Work on the what?
Well, you just froze again. We got to work on this. I don't know why that shouldn't be happening. I don't think.
I think it's something with the connection, dude. Like it's just straining to keep it connected.
Okay, yeah, but we got to figure that out. I mean, I have very good internet, so we're gonna have to
I
figure
also
out
have
why.
very good internet, but I don't know what we
Yeah,
can
that's what
do
I'm
to
saying.
figure it
There's
out.
something wrong, and we're gonna have to figure this out. That's all I'm saying. Um, so I mean, I watch a lot of live streams, and like, not very often does it freeze. Um, yeah, we'll have to figure that out at some point. Um, yeah, I don't want to talk about Haiti. So I'll tell you this though. So something interesting. So I was in DC for Christmas, and when I flew home, uh, they have it set up so you don't really talk to someone. You just put your ID into like a scanner, and there is a guy kind of sitting there, but it's behind glass. Like you don't communicate with him or anything like that. You don't have to show your ticket. Nothing. You put your ID in a scanner, take it out. You get like a green light, and then you just walk through. Um, which some of it's kind of scary. Cause it's also one of those things too, where it's like, well, wait a minute, like I don't think I've ever attached like how do they even know I have a ticket? Like I don't think I've ever like the airline. I've never given the airlines my ID. You know, like so how would they even know?
I mean, this technology is everywhere. You can't go to like if you go to stadiums here, they have the same thing for like the food and stuff. It's like you walk up, there's nobody to ring you out. It's like you just walk through the gates that you came through, and it like catches it on your phone. Just gives you a green light, and you just go. So it's kind of like the
Okay,
same thing.
okay, yeah, but that app knows you have a ticket and it's on your phone. If this
Hmm.
is just me giving a driver's license into a scanner thing, like how is that all tied together? Like
Yeah,
how
but
that
your
air
driver's license is attached to your ticket. No, like if you have the ticket.
Oh, I've never given American Airlines any information from my driver's license ever.
Wait, so you have an American Airlines ticket, and you
Yep.
scanned your ID. That was it, and you're
Yep.
wondering how they got your information
Yeah, how
to
they
be
know
able
it's
to say that you can go. First of all, I don't understand what you're asking because when you get a ticket, you have to give them your driver's license. Like it's attached to you, and when you go to the airport, you show that. So I'm a little. I guess I'm
well,
misunderstanding what
well,
you're
the
saying.
name is the same. They just looked at the name. Like,
Have you seen their screen when it pops up? It captures all that info, dude. No, these real IDs are different. Maybe before it was like that, but with real ID, it's a lot of real time information capture,
yeah, but I've never given American
and
Airlines.
it has a barcode on your ID now too for all this.
Wow.
Like, yeah, dude, like that's they got all that little info very easily, and that's they. So like that's the part
You
that's supposed to
froze
be
again.
good
You
for us.
froze.
It's like it's easy, but it's
Hey,
like I
hold
don't
on,
want it
hold
to.
on. You froze again. I mean, you're gonna have to repeat. I missed the last like 6 seconds.
I was gonna say it's not like that's the part that's supposed to be good for us is that it's gonna be so easy, but it's like I don't want it to be that easy. I have concerns about being able to be able to just like connect all my information like that. I don't like that, but
I
that's the way they're
agree.
selling it.
I agree. That's why I'm bringing it up because this system, it's not like that at O'Hare. This is the only time I've ever seen it was at the DC airport. Apparently, they are going to roll this out to all the airports, but it's going to take like 15 years, and by then the technology will be obsolete anyway. So it doesn't. Who knows what they're actually doing? But it's
But that
just
was the whole point of making us all get real IDs, though. You know that, right? Like they were always planning to upgrade the technology to be able to cross scan you into different databases at the same time. That is literally the whole point of real IDs, which I think you have to have to travel now.
yeah. I think they delayed that again. I'm not quite sure.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Well, I know in California it's already been like you have to have a real ID here, or you're not traveling.
Well, yeah, but with airports, it's a little bit different because you may not be from California. So if you're from Alabama and they don't have it yet, when I
But
moved to
that's why I'm
Florida,
thinking that they did change it already, dude. Because you have to have a real ID. Like you can't get on a plane at LAX without a real ID.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
I know. I know they pushed it back like every year. They're like, oh, we're gonna push it back. Okay, when does it start? It goes into effect May 7th, 2025. And it'll
Okay.
probably be pushed back again because I don't think all states
Goes
have
into
it.
effect where? What does that actually say? Like, is it?
The real ID will go into effect May 7th, 2025, requiring domestic travelers 18 and older to have a real ID compliant driver's license or state photo ID identification card to board commercial flights. The Department of Homeland Security has extended the deadline for real ID compliant driver's license multiple times. Most recently in late 2022, when the agency they moved it back 2 years. No,
Got it.
it's a federal thing. It's not a state. When you fly, it's a federal thing. It's not a state thing. Uh, and then I know Illinois. I think so. If you go, obviously Illinois. If you get a new license, you're going to get a new one here. When I moved to Florida, they already had Real ID implemented.
God, I know what you're saying about flying as federal versus state, but I was just telling you when you like California was saying you have to have a real ID license. Like you can't not have it. Like if your license expires, the next one has to be that.
Well,
They've
yeah,
been
they're going to give you that. I mean, they're going to give you whatever the newest ID is when you.
and they were saying like even if you have this ID that is still like current, like by X date you need to go. Like I'm not talking about just for flying purposes. I was just saying like California as a state was saying like you have to have these real. Because I want to get. It wasn't like I went there. It was like, oh, give me the real ID versus the regular one. No, they just like gave me the real ID because they were like,
Yeah, no
we
shit.
all need to do this now. Because that would have been like a couple of years ago at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I got mine in Florida. They were already doing that in Florida when I moved to Florida.
Right.
So
Well, yeah, they knew it was going to take like years to get everybody to kind of on the same page.
okay. Now, May 7th, 2025. Because of high demand for Real ID between now and the new May 7th, 2025 deadline, in parentheses, when the new federal identification requirements begin, DMV recommends you wait to apply for a Real ID at the end of your renewal cycle. Yeah, again, all this stuff's getting pushed back, dude. That's all I'm saying. Get pushed back another year because a lot of it has to do with like
Well, like you said, it already has been too. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't do anything
I
efficiently.
mean, I already have one, and any idea I'm ever going to get going forward will already be that. I think there are a couple states, mostly in the South, that are kind of holding off on this, with some okay
I
reasons
think you know
why.
what it went like. I think I assumed like I remember one of the other cutoff dates. So I remember always thinking, okay, I'm good when that date comes up. But then you're right; they've extended it back. I think that's the new part of the information for me is I didn't realize they were continuing to extend it back all the way into 2025. That's crazy, but I obviously believe it. We're just so slow with implementing shit. So slow.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I remember years ago they were telling me why, and I didn't really buy it. But I will say this: I had to get a new passport, or I had to renew my passport, and the new one is pretty fancy. Like, like the actual page with like your picture on it and shit. It's like not even in color. It's like a piece of plastic. So it's bizarre. It's not bizarre, but it's just different than when you think of a passport. But it's supposed to be a lot of it's just like it's supposed to have better security and all that. Whatever bullshit they're telling us. All right, what do you got?
What do you think about space travel? The reason I'm asking is because I feel like VR is something that is going to keep getting enhanced for people that are here. They can't afford to do it, but I feel like at the same time, space travel is going to continue to intensify to where, like, if you have money, you're of means, then you're going to the outer moons or wherever for your vacation. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are about,
I
you know.
miss. Can you repeat that? You froze again. I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, man. I was just saying, like, I think VR is going to continue to grow, but for people here that can't afford the space travel, I think space travel is something that's going to take a significant leap forward in our time. I was just wondering what you think about that.
So space travel and VR. It's kind of funny. So I bought uh, at Tim's birthday. I got into an argument because he had some people from a video game company. I was just trying to get their opinions on AR, and they had like
Yeah,
fucking nothing. But that's like fucking Chicago shit, where everything's like negative and they don't. There's like no imagination.
because it's so cold.
Yeah, and no. So I went to and then literally the next day I woke up and I saw that they had dropped like the Quest 2 to like $200. So and then on Walmart too, they give you like an extra like a $50 credit um, for like to buy games and shit on it. So I did that, and then it was supposed to be on like Friday. It didn't show up. Uh, I had to cancel my card, obviously. And then on Monday, I get an email from Walmart being like, "Oh, sorry, we can't actually ship this to you, and I'll get a refund." So now I'm kind of like, and then I check. I was like, "Oh shit," because I don't have the same card anymore.
Mhm.
So then I checked my Chase thing, and it gave me back the credit. And then I checked today, and they did not give me back the credit. So I'm gonna have to fucking figure that out. And then when I do, I'm glad I actually didn't do that because I'm just gonna get a Quest 3, which is like the mixed reality one, because it's only like $500. But there's a lot of stuff like I have old VR and AR game ideas from like 2016, 2017 that I'm gonna fuck around with. As for space travel, I think it's a lot farther away than we think. And I mean, you can go to space now for whatever, like, and by space, I mean you kind of go to like low orbit, and
Mhm.
and you can float around for a little bit and then come back down.
Mhm.
I think that's
Mhm.
still like $250,000 a seat.
Mhm.
So when will that be? Where like, yeah, I can go to space for like I don't know, 2 grand. I think it's still going to be a long while because I think because there's still no money in it. Like the money in space is still it's going to be industrial. Um, obviously putting up satellites and all that shit. It's actual space travel for humans because when you go up there, where are you going to fucking travel to?
I'm assuming eventually it's going to be like to moons. You know what I mean, as opposed to planets. I was saying, I think, like, I can envision maybe not soon, but like far off, where it's kind of like the wealthy people go to space. Like, I think VR is going to keep getting better, but I think it's going to be something you have for here because you can't afford to go to vacation in like space.
If I go to
Like, you
space,
do
I'm
shit
gonna
in virtual reality because you can't do it in real life no more.
if I go to space, I'm gonna have my VR goggles on the whole time.
Like a true space teenager.
I was actually it must have been Variety. I was reading in Variety yesterday, or maybe it was fucking this morning. I don't remember. But Apple did like a show thing, like somewhere in Culver City. Um, so they had the new AR, Google's Vision Pro or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, and they were showing off like some Apple's original content for it. So they have one that's like, it makes it look like you're like, walking on a rope across like two glaciers and all that shit. It's supposed to be pretty cool. And then also other stuff they had like what's that fucking movie with all the blue people in it?
Avatar.
Avatar. Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty cool. Um, I will as soon as I get my fucking card, I'll be buying a Quest 3 because it's like $500 versus 3,500. I'm sure the Apple one's going to be a lot better. But when I was in Florida, I used to go to Magic Leap. This is kind of when Magic Leap came out, and so they used to have a developers conference thing like every Saturday morning in Plantation, Florida. And so I went to like a ton of those. And I just got into an argument. Tim says AR's dead, even though it just fucking started. So yeah, I think it's gonna be really interesting. But yeah, I mean that's like the whole like kind of like dystopian future is that you have the rich people are able to do all this stuff, and then you'll just be happy with your AR goggles or VR goggles sitting in like
Right.
a tube in your house.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be like, where'd you go on vacation? It's like, oh yeah, I went, went to Italy. Like my little VR vacation. Like, where'd you go? Oh, like Europa, the rings of Saturn. Like that's the world that I'm thinking is gonna be one day, maybe not soon.
I already pretty much do that now. I'd be like, well, what'd you do today? I'd be like, oh, you should have seen this on YouTube. I've traveled the whole world on YouTube, dude. Yeah, I think it's a very distinct possibility, because I'm lazy, and it's fun to, if you can just experience like a bunch of shit in like an hour and you don't have to leave your house. I don't know. That sounds pretty good.
Fair enough.
Let me ask you this, Ralph. How much would you pay if it was possible? And let's say it was like there's just some orbiting fucking hotel around Earth. How much would you pay to go up there for a weekend?
Well, that's an irrelevant question because I don't got it. But how much should you pay? How much should you pay?
Okay. Well, okay. Well, don't say you don't got it, but just what would you think would be a reasonable price that you'd be willing to pay today? Let's say you had the money to go up to space for a weekend. How much would you be willing to spend for that experience?
I don't know. I don't like your question.
All right. Well, what do you got next?
Now, how much would I charge to take you up in the space for a weekend? I would charge you. Let's see.
Frozen.
Put my sales hat on. How much would I charge? I would say for a weekend.
Yep.
That's got to be like between like $2 and $3 million.
No, I'm asking how much would you want to? What would be the price point where okay?
Oh, I'm not paying for that. I'll pay like $5,000.
Okay, that's the question. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that's the question. Like, I don't know, a couple grand, maybe. Like, if that's the case, then no more than to go to like the farthest place away from me today. So it's like I could go to Japan on an all-inclusive trip for like what, $3,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000.
Yeah.
Like flight, hotel, like everything included. You know what I mean? Like
Japan's pretty cheap right now because the U.S. dollar is so strong compared to.
My parents are going there Friday or Monday or some shit like that.
Oh, nice. That'll be fun. Yeah, my parents were there. They were like 6 weeks ago. Where are they going to? Tokyo? Just Tokyo and stuff?
I can't remember. I don't think so. I can't remember. They went to Tokyo last time. I can't remember if they're going to someplace different. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's what my parents said because they've been to Tokyo before. So they went to Osaka. Well, I mean, once you're in Japan, though, you can take the train around. So it's not. I mean, I went to Tokyo, but then went down to Kyoto for like a night or like a day. So because the Bolt, we just the Bolt. And we weren't in on like the fast bullet train. We're on like the medium train.
Yeah,
I think it still goes like 155 miles per hour or something, or like 160 miles per hour.
But I think to answer your question, what I would pay to go to space versus what I think some rich people will pay to go to space are two very different things. Like,
Well,
how
no
much could
shit,
they
dude.
charge? Yeah, like how much could they charge? They could charge a fucking lot. And I think a lot of people will still do.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's why the question was, when would you adopt it? It's the same thing with AR. $3,500, I'm not buying a fucking Vision Pro. When it gets down to $800, yeah, I probably would.
Oh, I see your question. Like that's a better question. I get you now. When would I adopt it? So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, like a couple grand. Like
Yeah,
sure,
I think
let's do it.
I think 5 grand. I think I agree, and I agree with you on that. I think that'd be the same thing. Now the
Yeah,
question is, how long does it take to
yeah,
get
like
there?
go to space. Like yeah, like that seems reasonable. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, let's spend more money, then it'd be like, I don't know, 25. I think my mom. I think if my mom could go to space, I think she would for like 100 grand for sure.
right. Sure.
You know,
First
I mean,
class.
granted, she also has like cancers and stuff, but and
Why not? Like why not go to space?
yeah, and they have more money than they'll be able to spend in their lifetime.
Exactly.
So
Big
that's what.
big bad problem they got there.
Yeah, well, um, yeah, they did well.
Yep.
I don't have $100,000 to go to fucking space. Uh, all right, what do you got next? That turned to me having to fucking explain my goddamn question to you like 3 times.
Did you know that Evanston, Illinois, is the first city in the country to pay reparations to Black people for slavery?
Oh yeah, that was just a couple years ago, though, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I did know that.
What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's kind. I don't know. I mean, um, it's just one of those things where it's like, uh, how could you like if you want to do it in like a nationwide thing? How could you actually do this? I mean, this is one of those questions. I think we talked about this in high school, dude. But it is one of those things where it's like, okay, but I mean, you're not going to get people to vote for it. It'll be impossible.
You don't think it would just be like states' rights, like abortion and weed?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, but what state's going to do it? I like,
California.
I know, but it's not going to pass. I mean, California voted for everybody that wanted Medicare for all for California, and then when it got to Newsom's desk, he vetoed it. I mean, like
Right.
it'll just create so many problems, and you're going to have so much resentment, and then you're going to have to somehow figure out like who gets the money, and I don't know. It's just going to be a clusterfuck. I say just invest that money into the communities, into the shitty communities.
No, that's bullshit.
What's bullshit?
It's like too easy to be like, oh, it seems complicated to correct this wrong. Like we could do whatever the fuck we want to do. Like Japanese people, they've received shit. Like it could be done. It could be done. I also have made this argument to. I've had Black friends that think like, no, we shouldn't do that for various reasons. It's too hard. It's too much. Look, I think ultimately the reason why you say we should invest it in the community is not because you're grappling over whether it's owed or not, but you're grappling over what will they actually do with it, which is irrelevant. Like if I owe you $100, I can't really come when you're like, hey, give me my $100. I can't really be like, yeah, but I don't like what you're going to spend it on. Like
I
it's
don't
fucking
care.
irrelevant.
No, that's
It's
no,
fucking
that's not actually,
irrelevant.
okay. Well, who? Okay, yeah, but now you're gonna have to qualify who came from slavery and who didn't.
Yeah, but John, that's not fucking as complicated as you want to envision it to be. Like, let's start with the fact that some of us are darker than some of you all. So let's start right there. And
Okay, well, what about my black Uber driver the other day? He's not from America. Does he get reparations? He's from Africa. Does he get reparations? He's an American citizen. He's black in America. Does he get money?
I feel like the thing is, I'm not going to legislate something that doesn't exist right now to help you prove a point. I was just giving my opinion, which is like, it's too easy to say, it's too complicated to do it, or it costs too much or who will actually get it.
I didn't say
We can do a lot of stuff if we actually want to do it. And the first thing is like being able to like have a bunch of people say like, yeah, we want to do it. Right. Because whenever you ask people, everybody's afraid to say no. They don't want to be as the person that said no. They say these other things like it's too hard or how will we do it? It's like, no, we can make a way, but we got to be willing. First of all, I happen to think it needs to be explored. There's so much irrevocable fucking pain there that you got to make some attempt if you want the trust of like Black America to just be at a neutral point, like or in a positive way ever. And it's not as possible.
Of all the list of all the things I want to see be done in this country, reparations are so fucking far down on that list.
I'm sure of it because you're a white, well-to-do kid. Like you obviously don't give a shit about that. I understand that. Like, but me, I do want to see that happen. I could think of a lot of people that could benefit from that. Like more than just two that I went to high school with. I could think of like a whole neighborhood of people. You know?
Okay. I mean, what helps people? I'd rather fight for a single pair of
resources help people. It's one thing to have resources and say that other people should just figure it out for themselves, but it's another thing now. We see when we're talking about the fact that people were told they were going to give resources, they were not given those resources. If they actually would have gave these fucking people 40 acres and a mule like they promised them, that's the generational wealth right there that could have got like 40 acres, whatever it was then, like 40 versus 40 acres, whatever it is now, is something that we can't get back. You know, there's always this argument about how expensive it is, but it's like, think about what was fucking taken and we can't get it back. And it's been generations. What does the fucking interest on that look like? You know, I just think it's a slippery slope to tell people can't solve that one. Yes, we fucking can.
I mean, it's just not politically viable. I'm sure there's always something in Illinois or always something in Chicago.
That shows that it is politically viable, I think.
Because I know they did do it in a town in Massachusetts a couple years ago as well. And I think somewhere else.
I think it would be something where like everywhere it's like different, right? Like maybe in Alabama, it's like, yeah, dude, here's your $50 gift card. You know what I mean? Like they don't give a shit. Yeah, but I don't know.
The problem with Black people is so much different. Like the problem in Alabama is that there's a whole economy on locking up Black people. You know, so
well, no, it's social. Yeah, you're right. There's a whole economy on locking up Black people. You're right. Everything is socioeconomic imprisonment. Everything from where we're being told to live and jobs we're allowed to have, schools we go to. Like you can't even learn enough to change the shit if you wanted to. It does all stack up very heavily against you. But that's why I think, John, it's just like to me, it's just irrelevant whether people waste their resources or not is irrelevant. If somebody's ignorant enough to waste their reparations, that actually works well for the economy. If you want to be foolish enough to spend your shit, as most people worry about, if we give them money, they're just going to spend it on Jordans and cigarettes and shit. Do you know how good that would be for the economy if somebody actually was dumb enough to fucking do that? But I don't think most people will. I think when you think about GI Bills and shit, you can either use it or you could pass it down to your kids. There is fucking ways that we can come to something that says, okay, Black people have been, to some degree, we tried to pay you back. Here, this is take it or leave it. You can no longer have this chip on your shoulder that says all this was done to us and none of it was tried to be made correct, right? Like I just feel like America got to make an attempt, whether it's good or bad, shitty or not. I don't care. Does that make sense? Like make an attempt.
No, it makes sense, but I mean, trust me, Black people are still going to complain after they get the money. I saw the Dave Chappelle episode about it.
I've had Black people tell me like that's what's going to happen, but I'm like, yeah, but this is America. If you're foolish enough to do that, you should be able to do that because it was owed to you. I don't give a shit like what you spend on the money. I think it would be a travesty. Fucking sure.
It's just politically like. If all of a sudden there was this massive movement for reparations, I would not oppose it. I just don't think it's politically feasible because there's just too many things. Because first of all, most people that live in this country most of their families didn't even live here when slavery existed.
Well,
There were like
okay,
white
so
and
yeah, but yeah, okay,
Latinas
but the
that
thing
came.
is, yeah, but the thing
My family
is,
wasn't here. None of my family was here before the Civil War. You know, so
yeah, but that's your family though. I could just as easily tell you my family was here, and I can tell you the people by name. Like and maybe to your point, it's not as many people as people think. I think that's even more reason to do it. If we're talking about this small segment of people, that first of all, let's talk about the problem being
what do you
that
mean
we can't
small? What
accurately
do you mean?
trace ourselves back because our records were fucked up because of the way we were grouped and taken and separated and shit. So that's another problem we didn't create, but that's being held against us too. If that wasn't done, then it'd be easy to say these are my grandparents. But we don't have that. But there is easy enough to say, you know, back until like Civil War times at least, like, and that's really what we're talking about, making good on the promises that was made then. I'm not talking about this extensive overall of if you could ever prove. No, we're talking about making good on the deal that was made in 1864 or whenever it is, which was that the people then at that time were promised a certain thing. If you could chase your lineage to then, which that's not that hard. If you could do that, then I do think that there should be something that is there. Now,
Well, let me ask you this, Ralph. Is there an actual legal? I mean, obviously, we've always heard about 40 acres and a mule. Is there an actual legal document that says that?
look it up right now. I think there is. Look it up right now. I'm not sure actually though. That's a good question.
Because I find it hard to believe that there is. I bet people said it, but like an actual document, I doubt it. How do I even? How do I phrase it? Okay. Oh, okay. Google already filled it in. So according to Google AI, the phrase 40 acres and a mule refers to the idea that the federal government promised freed slaves 40 acres of land and a mule to start their new lives. But the government never did so. The idea came from abolitionists Charles Sumner and Thaddeus Stevens and other radical Republicans who advocated land redistribution to break the power of Southern slaveholders. Union General William T. Sherman issued Special Field Order Number 15 on January 16th, 1965, which prescribed the 40 acres, but not the mule. Sherman later ordered the Army to lend mules for the agrarian reform effort. The phrase was widely recognized as providing a sound start for a family farm. The Ku Klux Klan report of 1871 says the idea was widespread and common among black families that each head of the family would have 40 acres and a mule. However, the government never promised 40 acres and a mule. The promise was broken. And many believe that the government had broken a promise and that African Americans are therefore still owed this debt to the present day. President Andrew Johnson reversed Sherman's field order and required that the land be given back to the enslavers. In 1863, Congress enacted a law providing a reparations payments to slave owners in D.C. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure the slave owners actually got paid money after the Civil War.
Which is like infuriating. Like to me, it's not comical. Like that, like because people will say black people shouldn't get reparations, but literally in 1863, the fucking white people already got their reparations for loss of property. That's the most ridiculous shit that sums up all of the ridiculousness of this. That we're having this argument today on something that the fucking white people got their reparations for their losses before the whole goddamn thing was even over. Excuse my language, but that's the infuriating. Whew, I'm glad you mentioned that part because that's important that people know that as the crux of that story. They got their shit already.
Oh yeah, I know. No, because I literally was just writing about this 2 weeks ago. I ended up turning
Because
it
I wonder what they got for reparations. Like, can we get the same thing?
Yeah, who knows? Well, we can look into it more. And we could. This is a good. We could talk about this on more episodes for sure.
It's a
No,
good topic because I mean it
yeah,
was good enough for Evanston to like do it. Like you gotta wonder. Like I don't believe anybody is like you say doing this out of just a sheer like we got to make this change. And so I would love to investigate more of what was behind them doing this because the
white
impotence
guilt.
is not just being a good people. You know.
Yeah, it's just white guilt. No, but it's funny. I no, because I was literally writing about this the other day because I've been following Haiti now for a long time, and obviously there's like a bunch of terrible shit going on in Haiti. Do we? I don't remember if I talked to you about this a couple weeks ago. No, because I was writing a story and I ended up making the writing about Haiti and making it funny is like impossible. But I ended up just making a
Yeah.
joke.
So sad.
I ended up just making a joke about Hillary Clinton, right? Because when she was Secretary of State, anyways, and the Hillary Clinton jokes always kind of work. Um, but it's the same thing with like Haiti. So when they tried to free themselves in like 1806 or whatever, they had to pay back France.
Yeah.
They finished paying back France in like 1948 or something.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't
Yeah,
that crazy?
it was like
That's fucking
150
crazy.
years. Yeah,
Yeah. Like, oh, we'll let you be free, all right. You know, like what? Like that was, yeah. So I'm
yeah.
glad you mentioned that too.
Yeah, this is a good long running subject because it's something I actually do know stuff about. I've been following for a bit. I'm not like opposed to it. I just think it's not like politically. I don't care about the fucking money. I don't care what people spend their money on either. But
I also think that the conversation does not even like it's just too shallow. I think I'm not saying you. I'm just saying the conversation
yeah,
is too shallow sometimes about like, well, how much money and what amount. Like we
yeah, I
need to
don't
be
care about that
thinking
shit.
different. Yeah, we need to
We
be
spend our
thinking
own money.
differently. You know what I mean? Like maybe reparations can be like something involving school or some shit or taxes or some shit. Like I don't know, but I just know that there can be a lot of different levers that can be pulled that don't necessarily have to be like put money in my hand. Like if it's
Well, that's why I said investment in communities. But
yeah, but I don't want it to be so general. Like investment in communities could be putting money in projects that do black people no good, but there's a lot of payoff because it's like pay to play and like we build it in construction and all that shit. No. I want actual, finite dividends for like each individual. Like, but I get your point though. I think we're cooking the same stew, John. We're cooking the same stew.
yeah, because um, actually, I should go down and check this out because I think Obama's the first part of the Obama library thing, which is just like a kind of a big complex. It's not really because it was all privately funded, I guess. I don't know. And then whatever money he stole from the state.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think the gym just
Mm-hmm.
opened up. So the first part that opened up was the gym, and I think it just did. I haven't been down there. I should just go check it out and see what it looks like. Um, yeah, I should go down there and see what it looks like. Because remember, I actually kind of pitched you the idea for like community centers in that sense, like not 10 years ago, but fucking close, 8 years
Mm-hmm.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and obviously, no one wants to spend any money on this shit. Maybe they have something in
Well,
LA.
that's
I
the
don't know.
problem, right? Exactly. Yeah, but of course, like you say, if you got reparations monies that are there that have been flagged for this, this sort of stuff. But I think also
But that's
just
what well, let's see how Obama. But Obama obviously could do it, and he did get the money, and they built
yeah,
this. Shit. So I
yeah,
guess it'll be interesting to follow just to see how that works. Because
sure,
remember because I had my whole pitch be like, there's always so many rules and all this shit. Be like, no, the gym should just be open 24 hours, free.
yeah. I do
Go
remember
there
you saying,
24
yeah,
hours.
that's right. Yep,
None
yep,
of this shit, like not all these fucking rules and all this shit. Be like, no, if you want to go play basketball at 1 in the morning, go play basketball at 1 in the morning. Because what else are you gonna
yeah,
do at 1 in the morning? Probably not nothing good.
right, exactly. Yeah, and I think a lot of the problem always was safety issues at that time. But it's like, well then let's go down that rabbit hole because the thing is not to not do it. The thing is that you make it fucking safe all the time. There you go.
And yeah, I'll have to look into that as well. Um,
The only last thing I
I might
had
go
for
down
you
there and
was
just
the
check it
bridge
out and see what
collapse
it's
thing.
about.
Did you see that today?
I'm assuming there is a library there too. So Yeah, I know. It's funny too because I know a lot of people were mad. Like a lot of the activists in the neighborhood, they're like worried that it's going to like gentrify the area and shit. I don't know. A
Mm.
lot of time activists fucking piss me off. Like Chicago should have the fuck that George Lucas science fiction museum. That should be on the fucking lakefront in Chicago. But some activists were pissed off about the park and the parking lot next to the park.
Some people
And
that will never spend money in Chicago, right? Like the people just want it to be the way it should be. Like
yeah, it's
they're not going to
dumbass.
make up for that
That's what I'm
lost
saying.
revenue.
It's dumbass Chicago Midwest shit. And a George
So
Lucas science,
angry.
a fucking George Lucas science fiction museum right there in Chicago. People would come all over the world to go to that.
This is true.
And then now it's just some fucking museum in LA that no one gives a fuck about. So it's like, okay, yeah, no, Chicago shoots itself in its foot all the time, you know.
Bang bang.
So it's like, I guess. Um, I guess I have some business stuff. I was like the Boeing CEO resigned and all that stuff, but it's like kind of all bullshit because he's still staying on until like the end of the year. So it's like still another like 8 months. I don't want to talk about any of that shit.
That's good. That's a good natural stop. We're good. Yeah, hour and a half.
Okay, good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here that I wrote down like 5 days ago. I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. It's fucking it's gonna take like we still didn't even do the ghost cities. We'll do that. We'll do the Chinese ghost cities because you're a fan of that one guy, right?
Yeah.
So that guy I've had criticism of for a long time because sometimes he just kind of like just makes shit up. I think where he like somehow knows like what's his name, Zane or whatever. He's like
Sure.
he's like a performer. I think because you sent me a clip once. We'll talk. China will be an ongoing thing forever.
For sure.
But yeah, no, something popped up on my feed the other day because he always makes like kind of claims, and obviously the stuff that he's talking about is right. So China's population is going to decline, like all that stuff is true. But his
Yeah,
like
there
thing,
wasn't necessarily that I like him, but I think I like those talking points though, and I thought they were interesting. And I had listened to him a couple of times. I know I did send you, one of his things or whatever.
yeah,
Admittedly, I haven't
I was
listened to
aware
anything
of him.
after that. Yeah, but I will. I'll refresh myself on him too, actually, for sure.
He just always has that same statement, but it's also just like a talking point, being like, "Well,
Sure.
he's a dictator. Xi Jinping's a dictator, and he only surrounds himself with yes men," which I think is absolutely incorrect. And how the fuck would he know? Like,
Well,
I think it's
yeah,
absolutely incorrect. So,
yeah, yeah.
but and he'll be good too. That'll be better to discuss when we start like adding clips where we can watch the clip together and then discuss it. It'll
Sure.
make it a lot easier because I don't want to like summarize what he said. That's not fair to him either.
Right. For sure.
But we should be able to do that. We should think about figuring out. We should start doing that in like a couple weeks or something.
I'm well. It can be done with this, which is good. So it's not a fact of
I assume they
getting.
all can do it. So
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's not like we have to get something that we don't have. It's just about like knowing how to do it. I feel like it's probably not going to be as complicated as what I'm thinking. It just seems, for some reason, it just seems like you put the thing in there, like you just
it's gonna be super
divide it,
simple.
and you put it in there.
It's gonna be super simple. I've used Yardstream before. It's just
I'll
the
just
links.
I'll like give you the login or whatever to this thing too. You can fool around with it and see what
Yeah, I mean maybe
whatever's
this,
up.
and I'll check out. I'll just see because I'm gonna do a solo podcast on the congressional hearing stuff, like kind of Red Bar style, but it's just going over that, but like in a comedy way, like just comedy way. Like I'm not really giving my opinion on that much shit. So I'm gonna have to get a system anyways for that.
Cool.
And I'm thinking about just doing like a live stream like in the afternoon for like an hour. I don't know. But anyways, I don't know. And then at a certain point too, hopefully in like a month or two, we got to start doing these shows live, so we can start building up some hours and see if we can make some money. Because I think we can get some super chatters to ask us questions. You know,
Roger
and
that.
you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
For sure, man.
Not right away, but over time, I think it's possible. So, all right. Well, this is better than last week. I thought. This is better than last week's. The one before that was the best.
Yeah, I think it'll be better next week too. Still.
Yeah. But, anyways, we don't have a lot of dead air, so that's like half the battle is just not having dead air. I think.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't hear you. Just froze.
No, I was just agreeing with you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Cool, dude. Well,
sorry, I know it probably froze again on your end. Sorry.
All right. Next Tuesday then.
Yep. Sounds like a plan, bud.
All right. Well, when you stop recording, I'll leave it for a second so it uploads. All right. Cool, dude. Have a good week.